The good bacteria actually forms the immune system. It makes the immune system. Now, when we don't have the right good bacteria, immune system does not behave well. This leads to an inflammatory process or autoimmunity that can end up damaging the pancreas. So we really need to find out what is the individual case and what is playing and causing a damage. Another problem is a fatty acid imbalance. Now, if you have been feeding the kids with a lot of fried foods, lot of refined oils. Now there's an imbalance of the omega-3 ratio to omega-9 ratio. There's more of omega-9 and less of omega-3. This ratio, which is disrupted, leads to inflammation. That inflammation leads to autoimmunity, can end up damaging the pancreas. Another very important cause of autoimmunity is nutritional deficiencies, lack of exposure to the sun, lack of vitamin D, lack of B complex, or magnesium, or zinc, or proteins, or healthy fats. Now, our body is constantly remaking itself. When we don't have enough nutrition into body, which can be, basic macro and micronutrients, we end up damaging our system. We cannot heal ourselves. Sometimes also we see that at a very young age we start feeding our babies with solid foods, which are coming from a hybrid foods like wheat and dairy. That can also put us into trouble. Then sometimes even the viral infections can trigger autoimmune response. C-section deliveries, they can also put the babies onto the risk of autoimmunity. Then, of course, there's a condition called SIBO, which is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, which is overgrowth of the harmful bacteria into the small intestine. And if that imbalance of the bacteria is there into the large intestine, which is called SIBO, that can that can also put the human body to get a autoimmunity. So now these are the reasons for a person developing autoimmunity. Now, our focus here is if somebody is diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, some pancreatic function is left, maybe 30%, maybe 40%, maybe 50%. We know the causes of the problem. We address the causes of the problem so that further destruction to the pancreas can be stopped. So now conventional approach wherein, depending on the blood sugars, we keep pushing insulin. Insulin is required. We all understand that to manage the blood sugar. But sometimes we see that we end up pumping in extra insulin as well. So in those cases, when there's extra insulin, a person develops something called insulin resistance. So sometimes they will have hypoglycemia, sometimes they will have hyperglycemia. Again, these keep repeating, and it's a very tedious task for the parents. And always this HbA1c for these kids is always high. Even though we have been giving enough or more than enough of insulin, still the HbA1c is more than 6 or more than 7. Ideal range for a kid to have HbA1c is below 5.6, around 5. And in the conventional thought, we don't correct the autoimmunity. We only focus on giving the insulin, but we don't correct the autoimmunity. Now, autoimmunity, if it can damage the pancreas, it can also damage other organs as well at some stage in the life. So if we know that somebody has autoantibodies against the pancreas or the insulin, we need to ensure that this number of this titer should come down and the reason of should be corrected. And then if somebody, as following the recommendation, we keep feeding in the insulin, sometimes a person develops resistance to insulin, and it becomes very difficult for a parent, for a patient to actually manage the blood sugars. So it's very important that we understand what is the cause of the problem. Of course, we have to manage the symptoms, but we have to look beyond the symptoms as well and find out what has caused the problem, and we take a corrective action for it. So what do we do now? We understand that there's autoimmunity, there is resistance to insulin. So what do we expect? What is the ideal management of type 1 diabetes? So that means we just not only manage the blood sugar levels, of course, we have to do it. Along with that, we have to correct the autoimmunity so that the further destruction to the pancreas can be stopped. So whatever the pancreas is there, the function is there at the time of diagnosis, that can be saved. And we should also optimize the use of the exogenous insulin. So we can, if we give extra, it will give us unnecessarily side effects. So the minimum we use, better it is. So that impact on the other organs because of high insulin or because of the high blood sugars can be stopped. So we want to make sure that autoimmunity is corrected. We want to make sure that pancreatic function, whatever is left at the time of diagnosis, is saved. We make sure that we use minimal insulin, and the blood sugars are under control, and the impact on the other organs is also taken care. Now, it's very important to understand that what insulin resistance can cause. If we feed in extra insulin to our kids or to ourselves, what can happen? It can develop, in case of women, it can develop hormonal imbalance, of course, in males also. Women largely PCOS is some condition which most of the women are getting. Then high insulin can cause high inflammation. It can lead to cardiovascular diseases. It can lead to hypertension. It can lead to fatty liver. It can also cause high triglycerides. At later stages, it can cause Alzheimer's, dementia, and cancer. So insulin is good, but it is also important at the same time that we avoid the resistance of insulin. So that means we should only give insulin as much as is required. We don't push extra insulin. So what is that, what is that we do at Functional Medicine, and what is the whole, this webinar, why are we doing it? To help you understand what is the cause of the problem and what can be done. Now, each individual might not have all the causatives of the problem. Every individual will have either somebody have a heavy metals, some had a poor gut microbiome, someone has a nutritional deficiencies, or some has sensitivities to the food. So we need to find out in each individual what is their cause of the problem, and we find the cause of the problem and we address it. And we have to give them a very personalized treatment plans, so that their autoimmunity can be addressed. They can gain a better control of their blood sugars with the minimal use of insulin. Now, the foreign invader can be a virus, can be the hybridized foods, can be toxins, which trigger the immune system to do a self-damage on the pancreas. So this whole process has to be stopped. And at some point in time, if we don't correct it today, in the future also, this autoimmunity can impact other organs in the body. So it's very critical that we take care of it. So what can be achieved with this new approach? Definitely, we can gain a better blood sugar control with the minimal use of insulin. And today, if some kid or some patient is given, let's say, some X amount of insulin, by improving the diet, by ensuring that insulin resistance is taken care, by feeding the right carbs, right proteins, right fats, need of the external insulin can be reduced. Okay, and then we take care of the autoimmunity, halt the autoimmunity, so that remaining pancreatic function can be saved. Now, this is sometimes is called as honeymoon period. If we do the right things, this honeymoon period can go for years or decades also. Which means, if we put efforts today to save the remaining pancreas, we can make sure that this honeymoon period can go for life also. What also can be achieved, which is our hope, that we should be able to completely wean off the insulin. We manage the diet in such a way, even 30% of the functional pancreas are able to sustain life. They need not to have external insulin. This is possible, but of course, we have to put enough efforts to get that. Of course, it depends on how much pancreatic function is left at the time of diagnosis. Another possibility, of course, can be explored, which is restoration and regrowth of the insulin-secreting beta cells. which is possible by doing fast mimicking diets, cellular detox, or water fasting also. So there are herbs which are available which can stimulate the stem cells. Now, stem cells has the ability to make any organ in our body. We keep making new cells. The skin is we are making new skin, we are making new liver, we are making new heart cells. Every organ in the body, we keep making it as a needed. We keep making a new organs. Only requirement is we need to give the body right environment, toxin free environment. So this is what we have to achieve. So when we are doing this, what do we expect from the parents? Now, we as a medical doctors or functional doctors, we have some understanding how we can help you. But at the same time, we expect parents to be more aware about the problem and our approach, so that ultimately, this whole thing can be achieved. Now, they should understand what are the good foods, what are the bad foods, what is the positive food, what is the negative food. So ultimately, with this understanding, we put them on a very positive diet, a non-toxic diet, which can create a right environment in the kid's body, so that this either weaning of the insulin or regeneration can be made possible. Then parents has to be patient when they are doing this whole diet change, because it's not easy for a kid to adopt to a new diet. But if we put enough efforts, anything can be made possible. All right. And of course, results can, some kids can respond very fast, some might take some time. So patience is the key. Then of course, a parent has to learn about the disease. They themselves need to understand what is the problem and what is the special solution for their kid. All right. So it's not that, you take the body to a doctor and just like a repair shop. You as a parent has to understand what is the problem and how can you solve it. We as we doctors are only enablers. We can tell you the right information, but at the end of the day, you have to learn how to do it. And diet modification is must. If we keep giving some food which has done a damage, and if we reintroduce those foods which either there are sensitivities to it, there are allergies to it, they can do a damage again. So it's very important that diet modification forever has to be done. You cannot bring back a food which has done a damage in the first place. Of course, a positive outlook. Parents also has to be very positive. Right positivity will impact their kids also. All right. So if we do these things, we can make sure that we achieve a good stabilization of the blood sugars of a kid. We ensure that minimal insulin is used. We can ensure that complete weaning is possible from the insulin. Of course, we can put extra efforts to make sure that some regeneration possibilities can be explored. Now we have to eat for our gene expression. We should eat something which is good for our genes also. So what should not? It's very important that we focus on what should not be eaten, which is gluten or dairy or regular eggs. Organic eggs are fine, and sugars, processed food, junk foods. Today these things are readily available. You go to any supermarket, you go to any Karyana store, you have these all junk available, and sometimes kids ask for it. But when a kid is diagnosed with a problem, it becomes very important that we wean these all unhealthy things. We should feed them with the fresh produce, organic produce, which is berries, veggies, fermented foods, avocados, coconut. So healthy fats plays an important role in the healing process, especially in diabetics. So healthy fats are important even to reduce the amount of insulin required. Then of course, along with that, to tackle this inflammation or autoimmunity, some herbs like turmeric, cumin, fennel, parsley, cinnamon, cardamom, ginger, garlic, these are very great herbs. Instead of taking medicine, we use these herbs which are readily available in India. Then of course, depending on the need and depending after the thorough blood testing, we can know what are the deficiencies and we feed those deficiencies. Then of course, if there are heavy metals of a blood test, we come to know if there are heavy metals in the body, we have to put a regime to do a detoxification. And of course, if there's a dysbiosis or a SIBO, we have to make sure that we take care of it with some herbs and keep giving the right pro and prebiotics to the kids. Now, what are the things that we can do to make sure that inflammation can reduce? And how do we train the right immune system in the body? We really need to make sure that we keep feeding ourselves with the pre and the probiotic, good foods with the right bacteria. So it was a culture in this country also that we always have eaten, healthy lassi, charge, fermented foods, pickles, achar, and all that. Maybe 40 years back, there was no adulteration. Everything that was made at home was good enough to keep us healthy. But today, the damages has done so much that we need to really put efforts to do extra these things. We have to do more of these things. So whatever damage we are doing to our gut microbiome, we are replacing them. So these are some of the things that is listed here. What we can do. For example, probiotic foods are pickles, fermented vegetables, sauerkraut, kimchi, kombucha, kefir, vegan curd. So some of the great things that these can be done at home, and then we can make sure that the gut microbiome is taken care, which will in turn take care of the autoimmunity, which will in turn will take care of the stopping the destruction to the pancreas. So this is our approach, and then next. So hope this presentation was useful. Of course, we can take your questions later on now.
So please post your questions in the chat box. We will take the questions in the end of the session. So we'll move to hear the story of Gayatri Nayak. Gayatri, you there?
Yes, doctor. Hello.
So it's over to you now. You can turn on.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes. A very good afternoon to all of you.
Gayatri, would you turn on your camera? I think that will be great.
Yes. Yeah. Is it on?
Yes. Yeah. So over to you.
Yeah. Yes. Good afternoon, parents and doctors. Yeah, my name is Gayatri Nayak, and my son Pratham Nayak, aged 15 years, was detected in last December with type 1 diabetes. Initially, all the symptoms of him was there. For 1 month, he used to get cramps, he used to keep drinking water, and everything was happening before my eyes. And I still couldn't fathom that something is wrong with the child. I kept saying he doesn't drink water, he doesn't exercise, so it's so nice you're losing weight. And I kept championing him, saying you're doing a good job. But nowhere in the thought did I realize that something is wrong with my child. Now, my husband is working abroad, so he had just come for some holidays. And when he entered and saw him, he said, something is wrong with the child. What's wrong with you? What are you telling me that he's losing weight? Kind of weight loss is not good within a month. So we rushed to the doctor, we did his blood test, and we got him tested, and his sugars were too high. His fasting sugars were 275, almost to 300, and his PP sugars were 500 and more. So then became the hunt for an endocrinologist who could guide us, or a diabetologist who could tell us what was wrong. And I was starting having chills of what is going to happen now to the child. How do I go about it? For me to accept it and to realize it and to get hold of that child and move forward was a very difficult task. Then we got an endocrinologist who said this is an autoimmune disease and you need to do his test. We need to check his pancreas. We need to see his eyesight. And we started doing all the tests. But by God's grace, all his tests were okay. And he was started off with insulin. He was started with insulin with Novorapid for the 3 meals of 4 units and his basal of around about 18 units. So every night he used to take. Then I started reading about what this type 1 diabetes is and how do I go about it and what is there that I can help my child to get him better. And the first thing that I encountered with type 1 was that they were saying that you have to stop your dairy and gluten products. Anything to do with wheat, gluten, and the dairy. So I started. My son is a teenager. So he used to love his cold milk and he used to take a huge packet of biscuits, dunk it into his cold milk and eat it. Eat it at one go, the whole thing. So it was quite a challenge to win him off those biscuits, win him off that milk, and it was tough. Like if your child is small in the age of 3 to 4 to 5 years, you can still do those changes. If he's an adult, he knows that these are the choices that I make. But dealing with a teenager is very difficult. Every step, every day, every moment was an argument. Ki, why not this? Everybody is eating it. I used to show him one article. He used to come with 2 articles to show me that all over people over the world are doing this. So why not me? And I stopped. And after I stopped these products, I saw a lot of changes. Like his sugars were coming into, and his slowly insulin, whatever he was taking, started to change the requirement of his, and he started going into hypoglycemia, where he used to take the insulin, and within half an hour, his sugars used to drop to 40s and 50s. And that's how I encountered when I was searching and reading. I found about this functional page, functional medicine, and I sent a message to Dr. Ashwini saying, this is what my son is, and he has been diagnosed, and would you be able to help me? So Dr. Ashwini sent me a message back saying, yes, would be this a good time to speak to you? And he ended up calling me and educating me of what type 1 diabetes is and what are the causes, which we just saw into the slide which he presented. So I said, yes, doctor, so what would be the next course of action? You know, I'm already doing, but I'm not doing it as so full-fledged or what you're saying. Like I had stopped his milk, but I was still giving him paneer. Like I had stopped his wheat, but I was still using the suji part of it. So I was not into a full-fledged mode of the gluten-free and the milk products. And also I being in a very small state as Goa, where they fully fledged are into meat and fish, the options for vegan are very less. So I had to widen my search and see where are the things that are available. And Dr. Ashwini was of very great help to me. He said, let's do all his tests, his blood test all over again. Let's check his peptide levels. Let's check his toxicity. And we did find a lot of metal toxicity in him. We did find a lot of deficiency in him, especially his HDL and levels were very down, LDL levels were down. So that's how then we started with the process. He gave me a list which I had to do, his detoxification and all that. And within a month after I started implementing all this, all the organic foods, his sugar started dropping. His sugar started coming in the normal range where he did not require. The moment he used to take his insulin, he used to go into hypo. Like especially his basal one, the one which is a 24 hours thing, Tresiba, he used to go into hypo. That's how slowly, and there came one day where and this I did by keeping the endocrinologist. Dr. Ashwini was very firm in telling me that Gayatri, yes, we are doing all this, but ensure that the endocrinologist is in the loop. Endocrinologist is in the loop, because if something happens, I am not there. He is your primary thing whom you have to rush to, and you can't hide these things. You will have to tell him what went wrong and what you did. So I got a very good endocrinologist over here who I always kept in the loop. And he himself also said, I think Gayatri, he does not require insulin, put him off insulin. And for the next 2 days, the insulin that had stacked up in his body, it took time. So even if he was not taking the insulin, he was going into hypo because of the stacking that had happened with the external insulin that he took. And now it has been, he has stopped in April, and now it has been almost 5 months he's off insulin. But very important thing, what I would say is, you have to make a child exercise, no matter what. It's a tough job for a child to get to do it, but you have to do it. So mornings, either 45 minutes or 30 minutes, or evening 30 to 45 minutes, either jog or just put it your music and dance, do whatever, skip, but you have to do a movement. That is the most important thing to keep your blood glucose levels in control. Second thing about eating is that I have completely adopted the gluten-free. So I go in for all millet flours, millets, and your besan, your ragi, that's your finger millet, and jawar. So you can tweak it here and there, and it's a journey that you have to try. It's a trial and error method. You have to keep trying to see what suits. And every time you try something new, you have to check the before and after sugars to understand how that product works on the body of your child. Yeah, I think I have pretty much covered up everything. Dr. Ashwini, did I miss out anything?
That's great, Gayatri. So I think that two important points are to be 3 points are to be made. Every parent has to go through this journey. They has to themselves learn about it, and like you have did your research, so it brings a lot of positivity. What is possible, what is not possible. The second part is, of course, every body is a different individual body. And we sometimes, even with our practice or with our information, we always think, okay, this is right, this is not right. But at the end of the day, we actually have to see what actually works on the body. If anything is troubling, if anything is suiting, we have to continue that. And of course, exercise and physical activity is another part, which is challenging for a parent. But unfortunately, we are not left with the option. This is the only option to make sure that we are able to help our kids.
Especially if there is any parent with a teenager, I think that parent would agree that it's quite a challenge when it comes to a teenager to make him exercise or do something the way you want, because they do not understand it. Like for a child, if it is diagnosed 6 years, 7 years, those childs are already moving because they are dancing, they are playing, so their physical activity is done right there. If it's an adult or something 19 or 20 years and above, he already understands it. So, and by that time, when you reach that stage, you're already into that, fitness thing where you run through that phase where you exercise. The real challenge is for the teenagers, where you have to be after them and, face all their wrath and everything and still make them do it, Yes, you can do it. I promise you. Okay, I'll bake you a cake. I'll give you a small piece. Some incentive here and there and here, and get them to it. That's the challenge. That's really a challenge.
Yeah, especially it's a mother's full-time job to make sure that this happens. And then this is this is the only option we are left with, and we should do it to make sure that our kids are healthy and then they don't get into another trouble in the future. So I think,
and there are a lot of options available. There are a lot of, actually, if you go to see in the vegan thing and in the low carb thing, there is a lot of things available, and it is not like before. All the products are available online, mostly on Amazon. So if I would say financial thing is not a constraint, then I think everything is available, and you can get it and modify it and tweak it according to your child's needs and go about it. And I'm sure the child is not going to miss out on anything.
Right. That's true. That's true. I think that's great, Gayatri, what you have achieved. And it's an inspiration for other parents also, so that they can also create the possibility of making sure that, their kids also have stabilized blood sugars. The HbA1c is below 5.6. And also, if possible, they can also come out of insulin as well. Of course. Every individual is a different individual. We cannot commit right away, but after assessment, we make fair judgments.
Yes, it's a journey. You need to have patience. You need to work towards it. It's a day and night process. It's not going to happen overnight. Even with my son Pratham, it did not happen overnight. It took almost 3 months to fall into the pattern and convince him and get him do it and eat it. And that's how from his HbA1c almost 12, we hit the HbA1c of 5. Also, now I would want to say to the parents also that in the bargain of getting the HbA1c below or 2.5 or below 6, make sure that your child does not get into hypo, because getting into hypo and achieving that HbA1c is not healthy. That is one important point that I want to make, is that do not go completely on a keto diet. Go into a low carb diet where you can give a 30% of the carb, which does not increase, fiber rich food, and you can mix a lot of vegetables and lot of green leafy thing into the thing, so that the blood sugars are released very slowly and they do not spike as soon as you eat it. So make sure the HbA1c is achieved through healthy eating. That's the most important point I wanted to say.
So that's a very important point covered. Even today in Bangalore newspaper, there's some actress has died of a keto diet. Of course, keto is not bad. The way it is done is bad. So we really need to understand what is the healthy form of keto, or it should not be done for a continuous period of time. It is only done for a short period of time. And the items, the foods that are used in keto has to be healthy. We cannot go unhealthy way. So I think
also often paneer is recommended when somebody is on a keto diet. It's important to understand paneer is not healthy fat. It has inflammatory protein, and it's still causing a lot of damage in case of autoimmunity. So that's not the right choice when one is opting for keto food on a keto diet.
Yes, doctor. Completely agree to it. Completely
fantastic.
agree to it. Yeah.
So I think we have a few minutes left with it. Now we can start taking the questions one by one. So some of the questions can be answered by Gayatri. So first question is the damage permanent or child can possibly recover, lead a normal life in the future, which means consume foods, drinks freely as, okay. So if a kid has been into a problem by eating unhealthy food, now if we put the effort today to recover them, now if we reintroduce the bad foods, which has given them the problem in the first place, the problem might come back. Of course, we can increase the resistance to the problem, but it might come back. So just like a simple analogy we keep giving to our people is, if a car is running on a petrol, I start putting in diesel, the car will not function. I switch back to petrol, car will start again functioning back normal. But if again I reintroduce diesel to a petrol car, the problem can come back. So there's no way we can keep feeding ourselves an unhealthy food. So that's it's all about it. We really don't have an option here. There's no way out. We want to live healthy. We have to eat healthy. We are what we eat, So I think.
So we have.
Yes.
So Gayatri, so maybe you can answer this question from Jignasha. He's completely off insulin right now. Is he on any kind of medicine, allopathic, or any herb powder?
No. Is he asking about my son? No. He is into healthy eating. There is no herb, there is no allopathic medicine that he's taking. But yes, I do give him vitamin C, his immunity boosting powder, his amla powder, all these things I do give him, but nothing of such as a particular herb that I have been giving him to maintain his blood sugar levels. It's only about healthy eating and exercise, and that's what, when the insulin was stopped by my endocrinologist also, he made my son sit and he said, listen, Pratham, there are 3 things that are there for you. It is exercise, diet, and medicine. And if you do the first 2 things, the third one you will not require. He's saying, I want this phase to last, and it can last for many years. I have read an article of a 36-year-old woman who was diagnosed at the age of 16 and is still into her honeymoon phase by only maintaining her diet and exercise. And she's a mother of 2 kids now.
Right. So I think that this is ample clear now. We are left with the healthy eating, and of course this honeymoon period, if we do the right things, it can sustain for decades also. And Pratham is doing the stories are there, so that this is possible. Now, next question is how to know the functional, non-functional stages of pancreas. I think this is fairly simple. You can get insulin testing done, or C-peptide done, or there are pancreatic function tests are also available. So fairly simple, C-peptide and insulin fasting can be done to know how much pancreas is working. What is the replacement of paneer? Now, paneer, maybe 40 years back, it was the healthiest thing to do. But today, paneer, first of all, we don't know the source of the milk. We don't know that it's coming from the hybrid cows or a non-hybrid cow. We don't know what is mixed into it. We know it is urea or a shampoo or, nasty things are added into it. So then it is pasteurized. Then it is coming in a plastic packages and all that. Then we make paneer. So it's not even milk, or it is not even paneer. It is something paneer looking thing. It is not actually paneer. So we have to be careful with the paneer business.
So Varsha, your question is what happens to the carb and vitamins that is required in growing child. So in our program, we do not restrict on, so the carbs that we allow is complex carbs, and we switch to healthier grains like millet, the positive millets. and give the child whole lot of vitamins. I mean, not in terms of just supplements, but in terms of food, right? The nutrients, whether it comes and it's coming from veggies, or a whole range of veggies, which will suffice the child for the vitamins that's required. So there's absolutely no starving that's done. The child gets a very nourishing, nutrient-rich meal.
So I think another question by Rajdeep is, how do we know the honeymoon period of the child in reference of the call will sustain for longer period? So this is what we're trying to say is, if today after testing the pancreatic function, we know that some function is left. We want to make sure that that function remains. The pancreas does not get into more damage. Now, if we keep doing the right things, we can, of course, even for life, we can save the pancreas if we stop all the autoimmunity. So I think this can be achieved. And another question by Versa, my kid C-peptide is 0.1. What are the? So of course, see again, one definite possibility is we can manage better blood sugars. We can reduce the insulin requirements. Then to regenerate or regrow, we have to stimulate the stem cells. So depending on how much a parent or a kid can do, we definitely can improve the function, but it's hard to say. But of course, first thing first is, stabilizing the blood sugars and using a minimal insulin. That can be achieved.
So we have, what is the clinical test to say the kid is suffering from type 1 diabetes? So usually it's the antibodies against the pancreas, the islet cells against insulin that's tested. The GAT test is done, and then the insulin and the C-peptide levels are also tested along with the blood sugar levels.
Can I put a point, doctor?
Sure.
I would also would like the parents, because now it is more about fast cooking and about the non-stick thing. If possible, go back to the clay utensils. Remove all the aluminium and the non-stick cookware that is there. Go back to your steel. I know steel, while heating, it burns very fast, and the tadkas that you do get burned. So if possible and if available, I have encountered a website called as the Middicool. I'm telling you right now, they have wonderful products from their pressure cooker to all the clay pots, and it's not very expensive. So if you can, please order those products and start cooking in it, because it gives you a lot of healthy and natural benefits of the cooking. And I've started doing it. Yes, I did not start it from one go, but I have slowly started adding it into my pantry thing, and I've started cooking. Second thing is that once you start on the millets, also for your it's not about the supplements also. You can ferment the millets and keep them overnight and eat it. Even the rice would do. If you don't want to eat the rice, just ferment boiled rice with water, keep it covered overnight, and just take those sips of water. Excellent pre and probiotic for the kids. So there are small things, and it is all available. It's not much of an effort. If you just go on, click on the YouTube or put a link somewhere and search for it, everything is available. You have to put in that effort.
Correct.
You have to. Yeah.
So I think it's a great point that you made. It's a simple recipes like keeping overnight millets soaked in water or rice. It's a fantastic source of B complex. And most of the time that we see kids are low on B complex. When B complex is low, you cannot detox your system. When you don't detox your system, your toxin load will keep increasing. When toxin load is increasing, the autoimmunity, the inflammation comes back. This is where the destruction happens. I think even the simplest of the simple things can really help our society, help ourselves, help our kids. I think I mean, of course, it's a lot of effort a person has to put into it. There's no shortcuts to it. But at the end of the day, we gain health, and then there's no shortcut to health.
Another thing I would like to add is when we suggest these changes, right? The changes that's recommended is all healthy changes. And it's good if the entire family can start, adopting those, so that the child doesn't feel that, okay, I am being deprived of that particular thing which the rest of the family is eating. And end of the day, it's healthy for the entire family. When you are switching to healthier grains, when you are switching to more veggies, you're switching to all the changes that you're making for the child. It's good for the entire family.
Yeah, I think some parents are worried about the carbohydrate content about growing. So the complex carbs like the black chana or the kabuli chana or your pulses. And if you feel all the vegetables are ultimately carbohydrates also when your body processes it. So if you fill your plate more with your veggies and more with your pulses and whatever, and take a small portion of your millet rice or whatever you want to eat, I think everything gets covered, especially your salads. You can put in some magas seeds or sunflower seeds, put little walnuts. You get to do with orange juice, which covers up your vitamin C. So with olive oil, you can do your wonderful dressings and put it into the salads, lot of with your red capsicum and yellow capsicum, and make it colorful. I think it should be covering up much of the major part of your vitamins and your other minerals that you need.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So Reena here is asking, tofu, which is recommended for vegan diet, also come in packets and it's processed. Can we say it's safe? So the tofu is made from soya, and soya that's largely available today is hybridized. So it's best to avoid soya and all soya-related soya-made products.
So basically, we had to avoid anything which is where a human has intervened. They have done a hybridization to it to increase the productivity and all that. So now somebody might ask a question: why are we asking to stop gluten or wheat? Now, one thing to understand here is the wheat that today available is hybridizing. Why the hybridization was done? It was done to increase the productivity, which is fine. Other reason for hybridization was to do a pest control. That means if a pest would eat the grain of this wheat, the pest would die. That's a fact. Now, if a pest can die of eating this grain, imagine how much it is impacting us. There's diabetes increasing, there's autoimmunity increasing, there's a hormonal balances are disrupted today, cancers are increasing. Certainly there's a role to play by the food, right? If we don't eat healthy, we end up in a bad health. So we have to understand what was available 40 years back or 50 years back or 100 years back. Today it is not the same. So we really have to be more conscious, aware, and do the right choices.
So Bibhu, so yes, functional medicine is all about treating food as medicine, decoding the root cause of the problem and addressing the root cause by primarily using food as medicine, and if required, use certain supplements wherein you can cover the deficiencies of the body.
Also, doctor, I would also like to tell the parents that some would say, doctor said that you could go completely off insulin. Now it depends upon the body of how far the damage has been done. So the honeymoon period can be also called a honeymoon period. If you're really taking a minimum amount of dosage, say for you 1 unit for breakfast and 1 unit as your basal or 1 unit for lunch, that itself is your honeymoon period. That itself is your honeymoon period. This is one of the what my endocrinologist also said, that it need not be necessary that you completely go off insulin. If the damage has been so far to the extent that you will need, then taking the minimum dosage is also your honeymoon period.
Correct. I think
Yes.
this is the one objective that we wanted to deliver to people is, if we have to use insulin, it has to be minimal. So that we only use as much as required. We don't do excess of it. Insulin is required, but it should not be over exceeding. Today, type 2 diabetes is not because of low insulin. It is because of high insulin in the body. And most people are not even aware of that fact. Okay. So type 2 diabetes is also because of high insulin in the body. I want everybody to, remember that. And sometimes we end up taking medicines which are actually increasing insulin again. So the people will be diabetic for years, for life. So we really need to know what is the cause and how do we solve. So if we don't know the reason and the cause of the problem, we're just shooting in the dark. So if minimal insulin or if pancreatic function is completely gone, it has to be using insulin, which is great, but it has to be minimal. So, and then even doing that is a good achievement. Okay, I think somebody asked Gayatri whether Pratham was type 1, type 2. I think Gayatri can answer that.
Pratham is type 1, and anywhere between the age of 1 year or just born to the age of 30, if you're diagnosed, you are type 1. Which with your unhealthy lifestyle, and if you do not manage it, can also turn into type 2, then it's again a very disaster thing to happen, because then it starts damaging and attacking your organs. You have to understand also the endocrine system, that not only consists of your pancreas, but it consists of your thyroid gland, and it also consists of your the gland which produces your cortisol and everything. So, you have to take care of whatever is remaining, so that the glands are safe and the antibodies do not start carrying the other endocrine glands.
I think it's a fantastic point you made, Gayatri. It is not just it's a blood sugar management. We really look into other systems in the body, make sure that we get a healthy body back. All right, don't stop at blood sugars.
So Jignasha, but type 1, you are saying, but type 1 diabetes means that the body cannot produce insulin, right? So Jignasha, it doesn't mean the body is not producing any insulin at all. There is still some pancreatic function left. So the whole our approach of managing type 1 diabetes is to protect that existing function of pancreas.
So we can always test how much function is left and then accordingly take action.
Yes. Also, your doctor, I would like to say is that it's not a disease. Do not address it as a disease. It's not a disease. Your pancreas are still healthy. It's still producing. It's not that it's not producing insulin. It's not producing your beta cells. It's just that your own antibodies are destroying it. They're thinking it is an enemy and they're destroying it. So nothing is wrong with the pancreas. They are in the healthy state. They're still producing their beta cells. But what is happening is that the antibodies are attacking it and destroying it.
Fantastic.
So, to rather than submissive, making them into submission, you have to train the body to tell the antibodies that this is your body and you shouldn't harm it. So we shouldn't be feeding the antibodies something that is aggravating it more, like soya or wheat or whatever. So, which is all genetically modified, but people are going into the organic stuff with your cold pressed oils and all things. We are going back to the roots with so much of things that are happening, and especially with the autoimmunity diseases.
Fantastic. I think it's a brilliant point. Body keep remaking itself. It just has to give it the right time and the right condition, and it will regenerate itself. Of course, we cannot make a claim about it, but it is possible.
Yes, and research is happening so much. There's so much research happening. They are almost out, where they have gone into the trials, into second phase trials, where they are almost going to come out of vaccine, which you can reverse it and tell the body. So also I would say you have to keep hope, think positive and say good things and give out into the universe, and they're going to come back to you. That's the only mantra to sustain through this. Nightmare, I would say, when it would start, but slowly you fall into it. It's a 24 hours job, especially when the child is small, or especially when the child is a teenager, where there's a lot of arguments that are happening and a lot of calls going to Dr. Ashwini saying Mama is doing this and Mama is doing that. But it's a journey till the child understands and can take care of its health. Yeah, of course, for a mother, hello, doctor. Yes.
Yeah, we love your positivity, and I'm sure the other parents who are attending this webinar would feel much motivated hearing this from you.
Okay. Yes. Please do not feel depressed. Please do not feel. Nothing is wrong with the child. With the right attitude and the right diet, and with a little exercise and dancing here and there, I think we can all manage. Most importantly, I also want to tell the parents that please, if there is any other child coming through your endocrinologist, please keep in touch. form a small group within your area where you can share, learn, and express. That is very important because that becomes your base.
Right.
I'm not talking about the far off regions. Within your regions, I am sure from wherever the parents are, there might be a lot of others. So come out in the open and try to connect. The more you connect, the more you're going to feel secure and to think that your child is normal. Nothing is wrong with the child. Everything is going to lead a very long and a normal life like all of us. They're going to leave us behind.
Fantastic. I think that's a brilliant point that we all has to be hopeful. Just quickly, because we're I think 2 more minutes left with us. So Pulkit Desai asked C-peptide is 0.29. How much pancreatic function is working? So 2.9 is fairly enough. If we change the diet, I'm very sure that we can bring her out of insulin. If we change the diet completely, it's possible. And I think 11-year dot back 2023.
So Debashish, so we will need to understand more about what what your daughter is taking. So maybe we can take this offline. You can drop us a call later, and we can understand what you're currently doing for your daughter, and then and how we can help you there. So we'll wrap up today's session. Thanks a lot, Gayatri, for being with us.
Thank you, Doctor.
And I hope it was useful for everyone, for all the parents, and you are motivated. You now believe that there is hope, and there's actually a lot of hope, I would say. Yes.
Hope is the only basis, Doctor. You have to keep going on that. Only that will keep your sanity alive.
Absolutely.
Especially when you have a child to hold on to your finger and move along with it. I think hope is the only thing that will get you through.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I believe if the world is run by the mothers, it could have been a much better place. All right. Thank you so much, guys. We really appreciate that you could make out time and listen to us, and hope it was useful. So we're just signing off now. Thank you so much.
Thank you.